Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to my review for a movie I was really looking forward to, Unbroken, directed by Angelina Jolie, which is a true story about a man named Louis Zamperini who during World War II suffered a major plane crash in the middle of the ocean, had to survive in a raft with a couple of his buddies for about a month and a half, and then he got captured by Japanese soldiers and got thrown into a prisoner of war camp. So of course he has to survive that and blah blah blah. Don't really need to spoil what happens. I mean, there's no spoilers. It's a true story, so you already know what happened. If you're even slightly looking forward to this film, you know if he survived or not. But anyway, this movie I was really looking forward to because the trailer itself looked very inspirational, very epic in not scale but just in story, where it's just like, oh man, he's gonna go through all these trials and tribulations and stuff, and oh man, it's gonna be directed by Angelina Jolie. Obviously it's going for that Oscar season nominations, all that stuff. I was really looking forward to it. I just thought the trailer itself looked very inspirational, very, like I said, epic in story, and I really wanted to see this true story told because I've known about this guy for a couple years now, and I was happy to hear that there was going to be a story based on his life because I don't know too much about him. So I would like to know more about him and, of course, what he had to deal with during World War II. So, what did I think of the film? Well, I pretty much already told you what happened in the story, but let's talk about it anyway. Now, Unbroken, I really like the story. I really do, and I think it is a very well told, very inspirational story. And I really like that it's separated into 3 acts, where you get the first act, which is, of course, him as a person. You get to know him as a person, as a kid, as a Olympic athlete, and as a war survivor. You get to know that person at first. It's pretty much, the first act is building him up to become the person that I guess he's going to turn out to be, a war survivor. The first act is really well told. You get to see a lot of flashbacks of him as a kid. You get to see why he was a very troubled kid and why him becoming an Olympic athlete and taking first place is very, like I keep saying this word, but very inspirational, very just nice to see. I don't know. It's a very heartwarming moment where he wins an Olympic award. His family's happy. You're happy. It's just like, oh, it's a good moment. But then, of course, the dread of him becoming this guy that's just thrown into the ocean, gets drafted into war, gets thrown into the ocean for 47 days without food or water, drinkable water, and of course then gets swept up by the Japanese Navy and thrown into a prisoner of war camp just to be beaten and tormented by this general, the bird guy, is really sad. It really is. And I love the 3-act structure. Of course, the 3-act structure is him as a person is the first act. You get to see who he is as a kid, as an Olympic athlete, all that. The second act is the raft, and the third act is the prisoner of war camp. I don't love this film, though. Even though I love the story, it being told, it was something weird about it. Even though I love what was being told, I felt like it was not generic. It definitely wasn't, because I know this is a true story. I felt like it was very, I don't know, repetitive at times. Now, the raft portion, I thought that was excellent. They try to find fish. At times, they're attacked by sharks. There's even a time where a Japanese patrol actually comes down and starts shooting at them. That was really interesting. I thought the raft sequence was great. And I even thought the first act was great, like I said. But the prisoner of war camp, the big portion of it, the biggest act of them all, is really, I don't know, is really good at times and then really, like I said, repetitive. There's a lot of parts where, all right, let's beat up Louis. Okay, boom, 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 boom. So, of course, the bird comes in. All right, I'm going to beat you up. Boom, boom, boom. It's a lot of just Louis getting beat up and then looking really distraught or really scared or just really beat up, pretty much. And it got a little repetitive. It really did, like, to me. I'm sorry. I know he went through this, but I would have liked to see more of him talking to the other prisoners, which you never get to really see. You get to see him talk maybe one line here, one line there, and then the bird comes in and starts beating the shit out of him for no reason. Now, saying that, I thought the acting was great from pretty much everybody, even the people that didn't really get a chance to shine. Jack O'Connell, who is a guy that I'm really looking forward to seeing in more films. I thought he was great in this movie. The only other movies I've seen him in was Harry Brown, where he played a really good, sniveling little character, and 300 Rise of an Empire, where he was just kind of, he was okay, but he was just kind of there. I've heard of other like British crime films that have come out this year. I can't remember what they're called, but he was supposed to be really good in those, and guess what? He's great in this. I really want to see him in more stuff. He does the anger, he does the broken portions, even though the movie's called Unbroken. There are parts where he looks like a broken man. I'm sorry. He's unbroken as in like he's just not giving up, but there's times where he looks like he's about to give up. He's so close to just like, I'm done. There's even a part where he just goes onto the ground and says, I can't work anymore. I'm done, man. I really thought he did a great job with just making this character or this person feel like a real person. You really cared for him, especially in the first 2 acts, especially on the raft where he actually has to kind of take control of the situation and just like, okay, our friends are dead. Everybody that's on that plane was dead. That sucks, man, but we have to focus on making ourselves not dead. And the supporting cast is really good as well, and they do a good job, but again, you just don't know who they are, which is really upsetting. I really wanted to know some of these other characters. You get to know Domhnall Gleeson's character a little bit. Like I said, he's one of the characters on the raft. You get to know him. You also get to know this, I forgot the actor's name, Finn Whitrock, I think that's his name. You get to know his person that he plays as well. And then he actually has a pretty emotional scene towards the end of the raft section. I thought that was a really good moment too. So they do a great job. You get to know them, like I said, along with Louis Zamperini. But the prisoner of war camp and even some of the characters in the first act, you just don't really know at all, which is really upsetting because I really wanted to see more characters that I wanted to feel for, and I just didn't. Whenever they got hurt, I was just like, I don't know who they are. I really don't, and I want to feel for them, I just don't. And also, I have to say this, even though the soundtrack is good, there is times where it plays it too Steven Spielberg-ish, if you know what I mean, where it's just really loud, very inspirational music of something happening where it's very inspirational. There's a part where Louis has to pick up a big board, and he's really weak, and he has to hold it up for like the entire day, and it's playing this loud music as everybody's watching him. All the other prisoners are watching him, and they all have smiles on their face like, yeah, you go, Louis, and Louis just like, yeah, and they have the loud orchestral music playing that sounds like a Steven Spielberg song. And it was just like, or a John Williams song, I should say. And it was just really, really cheesy. It was very, very cheesy. And there's a couple of moments here and there that are like that too, that I didn't particularly care for. Also, I think the direction itself is good, but just nothing particularly great. There's no amazing camera work here. I mean, there is some good shots of the environment, which is nice. You know, the cinematography's good. But there's no part where I felt like Angelina Jolie really challenged herself, which I wish she didn't. I wish she did more with the direction, which she really didn't. The cinematography was really well done. When they used special effects, they were okay for the most part, but there's not too many. And there's no real action in this. Don't go into it expecting, Saving Private Ryan 2 or anything like that. There's definitely nothing like that here. I still liked the film. I really did. I really thought the first 2 acts were great. I thought the second one faltered here and there, but it was still okay. It was still entertaining. I thought the ending itself was kind of rushed. It felt very rushed, which is okay. It was probably just like how it really did happen, where it was just like, oh, the war's over. Yay, we're safe. It was just, you never predict when war is going to end. I mean, you can't really do that. So it was okay. It was fine that it kind of rushed there. It was a very mixed bag of a film at times, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it a 30 out of 40. I'm just gonna give it straight up a 30 out of 40. There was moments where I was a little bored here and there, mostly in the last act of the film, but I still enjoyed it. So definitely go check it out, especially for the first 2 acts. And the third one's still good. The third one's still a good, 6 out of 10, if I had to grade it out of a 10 rating for whatever reason. So there you go. There's my review for Unbroken. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and goodbye.